Alderman, can I have you back in your seats, please? Okay, we're going to go ahead and start. It is now 7:20.
We need it. All right, thank you.
Can I have every alderman back in their seat, please? Okay, roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Florian.
Present.
Alderman Hayes.
Present.
Alderman Bolton.
Present.
Alderman Guzman.
Present.
Alderman Martinez.
Present.
Alderman Felix.
Present.
Alderman Newsome.
Present.
Alderman Turner.
Present.
Alderman Donnerworth.
Present.
Mayor Taylor.
Present.
You have a quorum, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The invocation this evening will be given by Pastor Linda Irvin from the New Life Ministry in Christ Church here in Waukegan. We're so honored to have her here this evening, so thank you for being with us in this nice cold weather. Can you come up to the podium, please?
Good evening. Happy New Year to everyone. This time 4 years ago, we had an insurrection at the White House, and it affected the whole United States. And we're just praying for peace and unity. So I ask that you would bow your heads. And Father God, in the name of Jesus Christ, your Son, I thank you for the privilege to stand before you this first Monday of the new year of 2025, representing your city council people of Waukegan. And thank you that you will preside over this meeting. I pray that for the mental health and the physical health and the spiritual health of each person that presides in the Waukegan City Council Board, we lift up our prayers for Mayor Taylor, and I also pray for each person who participates in the official day-to-day operations in the city of Waukegan, the policemen, the firemen, even those that work as city maintenance and highway personnel. I also pray for the educational people, Father, in the name of Jesus, that you would bless our schools and those that teach here in Waukegan. I pray that you bless their finances and all of this. Father, I pray that you would see that they would be men and women of integrity, that they will be trusted when they are being seen and when they are not. I pray, Father, for peace between all departments, that they work cohesively to get the job done that would make Waukegan a better place to live and work. I pray for all of Lake County, which would include Gurnee, Grays Lake, Round Lake Beach, North Chicago, Grays Lake, Zion Beach Park, Winthrop Harbor, all of the surrounding Lake County areas that have not even been mentioned. But you know each of us, God, individually. I pray for honesty. I pray that they would turn to you in secret and that you would bless them openly. Thank you, Father, for the privilege to stand before you and your people to ask a blessing upon them during this time of world crisis, and realizing that what goes on in the White House trickles down and affects each city and how they govern the people in their communities. I thank you, Father, that all things are working together for the good of them that love you and are the called according to your purpose, as stated in Romans 8:28. We give you all the glory, the honor, and the praise in Jesus' mighty name. Hallelujah and amen.
Amen.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the Union States, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for all.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to 2025, our January 6th City Council meeting. I hope most of you are watching from home tonight since it is very cold outside. And again, I want to thank you all for being here, that are here tonight. And remember that you can always see our agendas. They are published the Friday before our City Council meetings. Please go to our city website at waukeganil.gov for all the meeting agendas and other important information. Before I do my mayor's comments tonight, we will start off with the Waukegan Fire Chief, Mr. Pazer, or Chief Pazer, to come up and talk about things going on at the fire department.
Good evening, everybody. Happy New Year. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Thank you, Mayor Taylor and council members, again for allowing me to speak for a minute about the Waukegan Fire Department. The Waukegan Fire Department had another record year with a total of 12,679 calls for service. This is an increase over last year, and as always, we are the busiest fire department in Lake County by a lot. The next closest was Gurnee Fire Department with 8,100 calls, just to put it in perspective. We do not have all of our reports and totals in for incident types, but I will have these for you at February's meeting. In the month of December, we had two major fires with a total value loss of $332,000. For the year, we've had over $15 million in damages to properties throughout Waukegan. And to close, I'd like to thank Mayor Taylor and the City Council members for helping the Waukegan Fire Department celebrate our 175th anniversary throughout 2024, but officially on December 27th. It is both an honor and a privilege to stand before you as the Waukegan Fire Department Chief and recognize not only the anniversary of the Waukegan Fire Department, but to recognize and celebrate all the men and women whose dedication, courage, and sacrifices have shaped the Waukegan Fire Department that we do know today. We spent the year celebrating the legacy they have built and the path that they have paved for the current and future members of the Waukegan Fire Department. Thank you for setting the standard and for building a fire department that is stronger and better trained than we have ever been before. As we look to the future, we do so with confidence, knowing that the values and principles that they have instilled in all of us will continue to guide us as we start 2025 and beyond. Again, thank you to members of the City Council for your continued support.
Thank you, Chief Pazer.
Thank you.
Next, I'd like to bring up dispatch, Mr. Tom Perfect.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. I'm going to update you guys on call numbers for our 911 center. As Chief Pazer just said, he has his call totals for the end of the year. I have ours as well. So for 2024, the Waukegan Dispatch Center answered 179,937 calls. That includes 911 calls as well as administrative calls. And we made 39,253 calls. So those are outgoing calls to other agencies, calling people back, et cetera. It's an average of 493 calls a day inbound, and an average of 601 total for inbound and outbound calls, and about 25 calls an hour. As Chief Pazer said, that resulted in 12,679 fire incidents and 60,838 police incidents. That does not include incidents that officers do initiate on their own, that is calls that are created from a call into the dispatch center. That is higher than last year. I don't have the percentage. We switched phone systems, but we do see an increase in calls. And for the month alone of December, we took 11,103 calls, and about 5,000 of them being 911 calls. So that's done with 4 people. That doesn't include all the other things they do along with the radio traffic. We entered over 100 stolen vehicles, well over 150 missing persons, several hundred articles, which is things that are taken during thefts or burglaries, And we have confirmed or helped our police officers confirm through Lake County about 600 plus warrants for over the year for people that are wanted. So those are the numbers. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to call Antonio from our water department. He's going to talk about a couple things, and then I'll clarify when he's done before we go on with remarks.
Good evening, Alderman and Mayor. Just want to bring up the progress that's going on for the water tower at Keller Avenue. The tower has been taken completely down. They're working on the foundation right now. They've been doing that for the last week and a half. They'll be done hauling all the concrete and rebar by the end of next week. And the project should be substantially completed at the end of the month. And then the fence will be coming down as well at the end of the month. And it'll be leveled and we'll go from there. And we also reached out to, we have one more resident reach out that they had issues with the debris. So we're going to reach out to that customer, and we have 8 total. That'll be 9. And the contractor is going to reach out to them by the end of next week. And then we have a update on the elevator, the replacement of the elevator. The final inspection will be at the end of this month at the water plant.
So for those of you aldermen who have been to the water plant and saw the sketchy elevator we've had that was part of the original building, that is no longer there anymore.
Yep.
I think it's been donated to a haunted house somewhere. I will clarify one thing, too. We had a FOIA request about the water tower, and the address that they had submitted was the wrong address, so there were no permits on the address that they submitted. If they would like that information, the aldermen have seen all the permits and everything. I believe you had all that in your aldermanic briefings. They would have to submit a new FOIA. We can only honor what's on the FOIA request. And when the address was wrong, there was no material on that address. But there are permits and everything on that, and like I said, the aldermen have copies of them. Thank you.
Thank you.
General remarks. I will tell you that this being the first meeting of 2025, 24 was a busy year. There was a lot going on in collaboration with the council, that we've made significant progress in our community. We've improved infrastructure, increased public safety, and actively pursued economic development. All of this has occurred while staying engaged with our residents and our businesses. We're still doing business tours on at least a couple times a week. We've paid down our inherited debt, and we've increased our reserve funds. That said, 2025 is going to be a rough year because, you know, we're going to have to make some drastic cutbacks to stay on budget, but we're going to make it happen. For those of you have seen an increase in flu, COVID, and RSV outbreaks, please, you can get shots at the health department, you can get them at pharmacies. Please do so. The norovirus, there is no shot for, and unfortunately, your hand sanitizers do not prevent norovirus. In Lake County, there is a huge uptick in the norovirus. Particularly during the holidays, we saw a large amount of people sick with it. We've had it happen here at City Hall. So please make sure that you're doing plenty of hand washing. For those of you who were fortunate enough to go to the 26th annual Polar Plunge at the Municipal Beach, it was another record-setting for participants and the number of sponsors. Altogether, there were 524 participants registered, and Alderman Felix was one of them, with an estimated 1,000 spectators. To me, this is one of the best things about the new year is going to the Polar Plunge. I love it. But they raised $20,000 for the Northern Lake County Special Recreation Association. These financial resources will be dedicated to programs for individuals with disabilities that help them build independent skills, family programming, and sports activities, and arts and crafts. This was a collaborated event between us and the Waukegan Park District. I want to acknowledge the hard work and special thanks to not only our Waukegan Park District, but our own Austin Cantu and David Motley for being out there and just rocking it. It was cold, but it was fun. And I also want to thank our Waukegan Fire Department. 4 of them got the short straw and had to be in the water. The Waukegan Police Department, as well as our Waukegan CERT. I just love the fact that it kicks off the new year, and it's one of, in my opinion, one of the events I look forward to the most. Waukegan's LRS offers free curbside Christmas tree collection for real trees or natural trees through January 26. Please make sure your trees are clear of lights, tinsel, and any decorations, and LRS will pick your tree up on your regularly scheduled collection day. Now, you can also go to the Forest Preserve if you want to have your tree recycled. This is just to have them done with garbage pickup, and we've done this forever and a day. I want most of you to be aware there are some changes effective January 1st in our state laws. The new laws are related to health insurance, employee rights, travel, the Illinois driver's licenses, and more. Please take some time to familiarize yourself with those new laws and understand how they may directly impact you. You can view the changes in the law at ilga.gov or by simply Googling Illinois New Laws 2025. Much to my surprise, yesterday we did the Three Kings celebration. Apparently we had some camels on private property. I have not seen them on streets yet. They did not have a special event permit, but if it's on private property, like we've said with horses in the past, if it's on private property, we can't do anything about it. I do not endorse livestock of any kind in our city, but it's on private property. With so much winter weather coming, you've heard today about the cold. Tonight they're saying we might have freezing drizzle. So I want to acknowledge our public works, who I call the snow fighters. And they honestly have been out. They've responded well. They are working tirelessly at getting our alleys and streets. But the forecast in the next few days could make more snow. We know it's coming. Keep in mind, stay off the streets for parking. Make sure that if you can park in a driveway, keep your car off the street. We need as much room as we possibly can. And the other thing, if you are driving behind a snowplow, give distance so they can see you. Many people like to just get right up next to them or merge with them. Please, give them the distance that they need. I want to give everybody a heads up that the City of Waukegan versus the City of Zion charity basketball game will be held on Friday, February 21st in the Waukegan High School gym on Washington Street, known as the Dog Pound. Doors will open at 5:30 and all proceeds will go to charity. Teams will comprise of players from across all city departments. So you don't have to be in, tip-top condition to be on this, but it's all going to be municipal employees.
Where do the proceeds go for? What's the benefit?
We haven't chosen those yet, but each mayor will choose one.
Cool, thank you.
The Marcus Zachary will coach the Waukegan's team from our parking enforcement staff, and the team captain will be Waukegan Police Sergeant Frankie Cancino. Mayor Billy McKinney and I have a friendly wager, and the mayor of the losing team will provide lunch to the municipal staff of the winning team from the establishment in the losing community on March 27th or March 28th. There will be concessions, a 50-50 raffle, and a halftime Zion versus North Chicago drill team battle. I just want people to come out and have fun. It breaks the winter up, but I think you're going to have fun that we're getting together with another community and just having some fun.
Did you forbid Billy from playing since he's an NBA player?
He is not playing, so he's not rigging it. What was the date? Friday, February 21st. Doors open at 5:30. On Tuesday, January 14th at 2 p.m. via Microsoft Teams, we will do our business meeting. This is for business owners, and again, it's keeping in contact with our businesses, and this is open for them to have questions. There's staff on there. We'll talk about trespassing sign effectiveness, events for businesses, hosting, advertising, that kind of thing. So that is on Tuesday, January 14th at 2 p.m. via Zoom. On January 20th at 10 a.m. is the annual Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Dreamers Breakfast, and that is held at the Holiday Inn in Gurnee, and that is sponsored through the township. Tickets are $50 per person, and you can get those through the township. The address is waukegantownship.com, or you can contact Sherry Pearson White for ticket information at 847-244-9242. As always, all of our events are on our city's calendar at waukeganil.gov and our social media pages. You can sign up for the e-news on our website by emailing the city at enews@waukeganil.gov. And that's all I have. Madam Clerk?
Thank you, ma'am. I believe you have The resolution is recognition of Waukegan Sports Hall of Fame Class of 2024. This proclamation will be presented at the Waukegan Sports Hall of Fame induction luncheon on January 11th, 2025. Those will be Bruce Brooks, Ralph Buffano, Darren Day, Henrietta Ivy, Dan Monian, posthumously, Lee Eckert Mosina, David Olivia, Amy Eckert, Rosini, Saritha, Rita Davis, Tate. Will those be read by you at the luncheon, ma'am?
They will. Actually, they'll be read by someone else, but I will have them there. Okay. And I will be at the luncheon.
Okay, we just need the vote.
Okay, we have the first and second. Can I have a roll call, please?
Alderman Florian.
Aye.
Alderman Hayes.
Aye.
Alderman Bolton.
Aye.
Alderman Guzman.
Aye.
Alderman Martinez.
Aye.
Alderman Felix.
Aye.
Alderman Newsome.
Aye.
Alderman Turner.
Aye.
Alderman Donaworth. Alderman Donaworth.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next, I'm going to have a presentation of roads to be resurfaced by Director Garland and our engineer. I think, Alderman, you received all the paperwork on that?
Thank you, Mayor. Public Works is currently in design phase of fiscal year 25 road program. Once the original program was completed, it was determined that there was additional funding available to add more roads to be completed, therefore proceeding segment 2. We have a segment 2. Public Works reached out to all aldermen regarding roads and sidewalks that they may have concerns about in their wards. Once additional roads were received and assessed, they were sent for design. There was also a road program that began design phase more than 2 years ago and was not completed nor budgeted for. Public Works is now moving those remaining roads to design phase and has added the majority to segment 2. In the goal of staying within allotted budget funding, 2 sections are being placed as an alternate and may be placed on the future fiscal year 26 road program, as well as other roads that were not able to make it within budget guidelines. The first list of preliminary roads are Salem Avenue, from Glen Rock to the dead end, South Elmwood Avenue from Lloyd to Washington, North Elmwood Avenue, Jenkinson Court to Hyde Park, North Greta Avenue, Washington Street to West Monroe Street, North Metropolitan Avenue, Brookside Avenue to Grand Avenue, Hyde Park Avenue, Berwick Boulevard to North Lewis Avenue, Leith Avenue, Brookside Avenue to Grand Avenue, Judge Avenue, Hyde Park Avenue to West Monroe Street, Westmoreland Avenue, West Glenflora Avenue to Harding Avenue, Porter Street, Jackson Street to West Terminal, to the dead end to the west, Walnut Street, West Greenwood Avenue to Gulf Road, North Linden Avenue, West Greenwood Avenue to Gulf Road, West Greenwood Avenue, Lewis Avenue to East Cul-de-sac, Porter Street, North Popular Street to North Ash Street, Castle Court, Kingston Road to North Cul-de-sac, Arthur Drive, Stonegate Road to Rock Parkway, Marshall Parkway, South Macquarie Road to West Dugdale Road, Pearsall Parkway, South Macquarie Road to West Dugdale Road, Lorraine Place, Armory Place, and Judge Place are all part of Armory Circle. So that would be Lorraine Place, West Glenflora to Armory Place, Lorraine to Judge Place, and Judge Place, Armory Place to Lorraine Place. It's all one big circle. The next one would be 9th Parkway, West Terminal to Lewis Avenue. And then the rest is a subdivision off of Old Plain, which is Bayberry. You have Solano Drive, Bayberry Court, Thornberry Court, and Ruck Court. All of those are in one subdivision.
That's Meadowwoods, right? Not Bayberry. That would be Meadowwoods, right?
Meadowwoods, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry.
Did all the aldermen find something in there that pertained to them in their ward? Okay. We have tried to spread things out so that everybody is getting something. Not everybody will get everything, but everybody will get something to be fair to everyone.
Correct.
I have
The
a question.
anticipated roads are Lewis Avenue, Grand Avenue to Glenflora. We will first do lead service, and Jesus will speak on that next. Jenkinson Court, Buttrick Street to Lewis Avenue, Brookside Avenue, Buttrick Street to Lewis Avenue, Dorchester Court, Washington Street to Monroe Street. And we just spoke on today, Jesus and I, East Bonnybrook Lane, where we will have to do the lead service within that road. So these are the things that we're working on currently, and that we will be looking forward to bring to the council for approval shortly.
Mayor, may I ask a question?
Alderman Bolton?
Yes, just for the sake of the hearing of those that live in the first ward, can you reiterate what has been done or will be done?
Correct.
So currently, the lead service line removal program is ongoing. This is funded through the IEPA SRF loan. Our current location is the first ward. Engineering is committed to coordinating with other departments, such as Public Works, to ensure the investments in the cities are protected. What does that mean? We coordinate with Chris and his team a year or two ahead of any road resurfacing. So these roads are typically will be completed either the next year after construction or 2 years after that, depending on how funding goes and construction season works. So the locations that I gave you are best read digitally, so you will have these maps in your inbox. These are the locations of our current Let's Service Line program. In that sense, we're in the southeast side of the city, which is the 1st Ward. Coming spring, we will be moving to the 6th Ward. In general, we'll be between Western and North along Atlantic Avenue and Keith Avenue. And like I mentioned earlier, these roads will be coordinated with Public Works for future inclusion in the road program. So we're not tearing up the road twice. As we know, we have the fiscal responsibility to improve the infrastructure, but also meeting the state mandates, so we have to balance those two out. Furthermore, we do have the ETC grant available. My team is finalizing the last documents with the state. That project is Lewis Avenue between Glen Flora and Grand Avenue, and that's scheduled to start this spring, pending approval of the state. So we're going out for bid on that one, and following that project will be the East Bonnie Brook Lane. Again, that project will be going out for bid around springtime, and hopes to get in before August. If not, it'll be for the next spring. And that's where I mentioned the Coordination and Balancing Act. Furthermore, we do have a deadline with the IEPA to submit our next project for the forgivable loan. So you will see a council meeting, either the next meeting or in February, allocating funds to complete some of that work, so we're able to apply to the IEPA loan program, and that will be scheduled to be forgivable, pending anything with the administration goes well, meaning state and federal.
You mentioned Lewis Avenue. When is the other part going to come in from 120 down up to 14th?
Yes, so the last conversation with the county, we focused on our set of comments with the design, and they have it scheduled either in 2027 or 2028. That's part of their capital improvement project.
Thank you.
I just like to say I appreciate the fact that I did hear Third Ward a few times there. With that list, how can you make that list available that way? Because you named out a lot of streets. Are you going to send an email out, or that,
We put that on our website.
Okay.
Yeah.
When would that be posted?
Once they're approved, then they'll be posted.
Right.
Individually, then.
So it has to come back to you guys to get approved, and then we're posted on the city's website for our road program.
That is correct.
Thank you both.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next is audience time.
Thank you, ma'am. We have 4 individuals tonight. I'm going to call your names. Go ahead to the east side of the room, line up, state your name. I have Mr. Thomas Capine, Mr. Edward Gallagher, Mr. Rayon Edwards, and Ms. Margaret Carrasco. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, Tom Capine, Capine Studio, 122 Washington Street. I had given all of you a proposal for the identity sculpture that is in play in terms of the Only Arts grant. I'd like to add one more thing to that is in that proposal, there's also a mosaic involved. And Deanna Cruz, our Dan Line Gallery, is also going to work with this, with me to create this. She also is a mosaic artist. So I'd like to add that to that proposal. The thing that I think you need to understand is the Illinois grants for the arts aren't just a terminal thing. They're designed to get a community like ours to get involved in the arts. That's what it's about. It doesn't end with spending the money. It doesn't end with a few little items that are done like a mural or sculpture or whatever it is. It's a device to inspire you to create more in your city. As I look at the city, I see so many empty lands. I see places where art could take the place of a field. I think you need to form an ad hoc committee that actually looks into your resources and looks into the possibilities of things you can do to turn Waukegan into what it actually can be, and that is a true arts community. There are people who worked hard for this and done this for a long time, and you, the alderman and the mayor, you need to make that commitment and say, I will form a committee. I will form an ad hoc committee that has specifically this in mind. I will turn this city into an arts center, and that in turn will bring commerce in so many different ways. So that's all I have to say. I hope you consider my proposal. I think it's a real proposal. It has real possibilities and can really be done by real artists. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Edward Gallagher.
Good evening. Thank you for your time. My name is Ed Gallagher. I am the Community Relations Representative with Pace Suburban Bus. I have a quick statement. At Pace's Board of Directors meeting in November, Pace staff and consultants Jarrett Walker & Associates presented a high-level concept as part of Pace's Revision Project, a transformative initiative aimed at reimagining suburban transit service to better meet the evolving needs of our region. As part of this project, Pace has announced an online survey, of which there's QR codes on the forms I gave you, as well as held series of open houses, of which there's now a video on YouTube. There's also a link in one of the documents I shared, in November, to engage in public public feedback, as well as gather valuable feedback for our future transit services. The Revision Project seeks to reimagine Pace's transit network, informed by shifts in travel, as well as the rider feedback. Concept highlights potential changes meant to expand access, improve frequency, and create a system that is better aligned with the needs of today's suburban riders. Pace's Board of Directors Chairman Rich Kwasniewski stated that the revision represents an important opportunity for the community to help build a future-focused transit system that works for everyone. He also highly encouraged all riders, stakeholders, and others in the general public to participate in the online survey and attend an open house if they could. Pace's Revision online survey and open houses offer residents, riders, and stakeholders the chance to provide input to on how transit can best serve their needs. Survey participants and open house attendees will have the opportunity to review network concepts, consider service priorities, and learn about specific routes and services. More information on the service concepts, the survey, as well as the open houses can be found at Pace's website, which is pacebus.com/revision. Community and passenger feedback is essential to refining our final service concepts, which we will be doing later this year. Pace's virtual open house, as I mentioned, was held on November the 20th. It was both recorded and now posted online at Pace's YouTube page. If you would like to watch the open house, review the concepts that were presented, and then follow up with feedback via that survey, please visit pacebus.com/revision. You will find the link at the top of the page to the video. I also brought the one-pager that I passed out to the board. I placed it on the agenda table outside, so members of the general public, I encourage you to take a copy of that one-pager on your way out today. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Gallagher. Mr. Rayan Edwards.
Good evening, everyone. Happy New Year to everyone. As I'm sitting in this audience today, come toward the end of the committee, I finally understand what our issue is. We have no vision. And Martinez, tonight, you made it very clear to me this is why everything needs to go in front of this council. You wasn't elected to help your personal friends. Your personal friends is not all the people that's in your ward. Another reason tonight, you make it very clear, Sylvia Bowden, which is why we shouldn't be able to rescind these votes. Because when we rescind them, you know why it's done. Outside influence. Y'all are listening to that outside influence like those are the only people that voted for y'all. Isn't it enough liquor stores in Waukegan? We're looking at all of the hit and runs. We're looking at the violence. If some of y'all paid attention, you would understand the number one cause of violence is drugs and alcohol. Me and my friends did a thing because the city doesn't have enough staff to go out and monitor these things. We drove around for 3 hours, 2 days last week. Do y'all not even know that people are not even carding? Our kids, when they go into these gas stations, buying the little shot bottles. And then I hear somebody say to me tonight, we can't stop the kids from drinking. How the hell we can't? When did a kid be able to tell an adult what they get to do? If you put it in front of them, that's what they're going to want. In case a lot of y'all didn't know, 2 Latino girls passed out in the city of North Chicago at District 187 in the high school in the bathroom, smoking a posh. I need y'all to get more involved and come out and understand things and people, and not just a small portion of people. 2027 got to be a big year. Mayor, I say to you and I say to your chief of staff, we still have bars charging that should not be charging. We having brawls in y'all city, and we're not doing nothing. And I spoke with the chief tonight, but I'm so sick and tired of my police pulling up watching 30 people fight and not nobody go to jail. I'm sick of it, because what do we pay them for? I said all the time about these clubs. I said it about Stretch. I said it about the club on 10th Street. We ain't going to be satisfied until somebody die. It's going to happen. And when it happened downtown Waukegan, you ain't going to get no business here. It's already the dumping ground for everything.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Ms. Margaret Carrasco.
Good evening. Tonight, my words will be directed to 2 items. First, number 3 on the agenda regarding the liquor license for Euphoria Cafe. Why, Mayor? You know, you really need to put a mirror in front of you so you can see your facial expressions. Because when you were talking about Euphoria Cafe, it was full of vindication, hate, anger, vengeance. Mayor, could that be because you begged the owner, Maribel Mendoza, to have your campaign meetings there? And she told you no? So now it's payback time? She's not endorsing you? Is that the reason why? Next, agenda number 4A, I believe it is, or C. Payroll in the amount of $2 million, $26,509. So, Mayor, the taxpayers of Waukegan want to know, are you working another full-time job? Is that the reason why you lock the elevator and don't allow residents to come up so we don't know and notice that you're not here all the time? Isn't handling Waukegan enough for you to do, to have to go get another job, according to documents that I've obtained? Next. You can't make this stuff up, man, I'm telling you. So for the past several months, we've been taking attendance in each department and count how many people show up to work every day. And guess what? When you compare that with the payroll checks, it doesn't match. You have more payroll checks going out than people showing up for work. That's ghost payroll, sweetheart. That's fraud. That's a criminal offense. And lastly, Mayor, as I was researching when I did my challenge for you living in Libertyville, I came across something very interesting, and taxpayers would like to know. Have you ever been arrested? Thank you.
Ma'am, that concludes the audience time.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's go on to consent agenda. Can I have I assume we're going to do the whole thing together. Can I have a first and a second?
I'll make the motion, Mayor.
Second. Okay. Anybody want to pull anything out? Okay. Item A, motion to approve a regular meeting minutes from Monday, December 16th, 2024. Item B, a motion to approve and ratify regular payroll dated December 27th, 2024 in a total amount of $2,026,509.80. Item C, a motion to approve and ratify miscellaneous payroll dated December 27th, 24, in a total amount of $32,053.65. Item D, a motion to approve vendor payments dated January 6, 2025, totaling in the amount of $3,616,624.78. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Florian.
Aye.
Hayes.
Aye.
Bolton. Guzman.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
Felix.
Aye.
Newsom.
Aye.
Turner.
Aye.
Donnaworth.
Aye.
Motion passed, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. There being no reports and communication, old business. Can I have a first and a second to the motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Alderman Florian, second was Alderman Martinez. And there was questions on this one the last time, I believe from Alderman Turner about complying with the UDO.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I believe Noel and Chris can talk about that.
We're still working on it, Mayor. However, Alderman Turner, we have came up with a plan for City Hall's parking lot, as far as the landscaping goes. We were looking to plant more trees and flower pots in the area in the back here. That would line up with the UDO, with the current UDO's standards.
So we did look at, planning and zoning staff looked at the parcel. We used the Lake County GIS because we didn't have an actual survey with measurements on it for the parcel. So we used the GIS system that Lake County has that's publicly available to look at the area that's already landscaped and analyze that. So the requirement for the depth of the landscaping along the roadway is the existing depth is 8 feet. I'm sorry, I didn't bring my glasses up with me. That's okay, thank you. We have approximately 796 square feet there on the west side of the parcel. The north and east sides are internal to the property, so there's no landscaping perimeter required there. The south side has a grade separation and a guardrail that's built in, so we'd have to tear up pavement to add landscaping there. However, when we looked at all of the existing landscaping elements on the site that include the grass in front of the police station over here and the planter boxes that are built in on this side, the Circle Drive island, and then adjacent to the West City Hall door on the north side of the City Hall there. Our analysis, excuse me, indicated that 4 trees would be required. There are 5 existing trees, so we have a surplus of 1 tree there. The parking lot landscaping itself, rows terminated by islands would be 7 rows. 3 of those have circulation at the ends and 2 have more than 10 spaces. So there would be 9 total islands required, or 1,350 square feet of landscaping. In looking at what exists, we have 1,486.8 square feet of landscaping, which is 146.4% of the requirement. So our total landscaping exceeds the required landscaping. And we have the option through section 11.07B4 of the Unified Development Ordinance to have an alternate configuration of the landscaping, and this is something that we do for our customers often. We look at where the landscaping already exists on their site and count that existing landscaping, whatever surplus, toward things like the landscape island requirements. So what we determined ultimately is that we're short about a total of 8 trees based on the requirements for having trees along the road. However, we don't think it's a good idea to plant them in that location because the police department uses this parking lot during shift change a lot, and it would decrease their ability to see what was happening around them. And planning and zoning staff is concerned that that would jeopardize their safety. So we would suggest that we work with the Public Works Department and identify alternate locations applications to plant 8 additional trees, and that would accommodate all of the requirements for this lot. We have not yet had the opportunity to analyze the other parking lots on Sheridan Road and at Public Works, but we'll work with Public Works to do that.
Thank you. When do you anticipate having those further analysis completed? Next meeting, meeting after? I'm not pushing you, I'm just asking.
I think we can probably do it by the next meeting. I was out sick for a couple days, so that cut our ability to meet, but we should be able to meet in the next week or two, I think. And
All right, great. Thank you very much. Just for the record, again, I want to state that it's my opinion that we should not require landscaping on existing lots. If we're building out a new development, absolutely, I can see that. But to require landscaping to be implemented in an existing lot, I don't think that's appropriate. So at some point, I'm going to make a motion to amend the UDO to reflect that. But as for this project, these 3 specific projects, I look forward to seeing what your analysis is going to present, and then we'll move forward. Thank you.
So do you want to hold this one, Alderman Hayes?
That was going to be my question. I have a comment and a question. I guess the question first is, are we just not going to vote on this tonight since they haven't finished the analysis? My comment is that everyone in the city should be subject, whether it's new property or existing property that's being redeveloped, to the UDO. And I think the city should take it upon itself to be held to the highest standard. Meeting the UDO might not be enough. I think we should go above and beyond and set an example for all those that come before us and demonstrate for them that, hey, we're asking you to do something, but we're willing to do the same thing, if not go beyond. So however it needs to be worked out, my position is that if we're asking others to do it, we should be willing to do it ourselves. Alderman Turner, I thank you for bringing this up at the last meeting, and I think we should plant more than is otherwise expected and beautify our own lots when we ask others to do the same.
This will be held over until the next meeting, right? We think we can have it done by the next meeting? Okay, so hold over until the meeting on the, I think it's the 21st, is it? 21st. It's a Tuesday. Yeah, 21st. Okay. Going on to new business. Is there anybody who wants to do an omnibus? Okay, Alderman Florian, can I have a second? For
I
an
second.
omnibus? Alderman Bolton. Take out N. Didn't even come out of committee, so N and O are not being voted on. It is A through M. Anything else that anybody wants out?
Item E.
What was it?
Item E.
B as in boy? E, I'm
Go.
sorry. Okay. Okay,
B, C, G, and H, please, also.
B, C, and H.
B, C, G, and H.
We'll read them all. We won't do a consent one. Do we still have enough to do consent? Okay. Did we do a roll call on that for consent to do an omnibus? We need to do a roll call on it because of Alderman Dunhamworth.
Yes.
Okay. Madam Clerk, can I have a roll call on the omnibus?
Alderman Florian.
Aye.
Hayes.
Aye.
Bolton.
Aye.
Guzman.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
Felix.
Aye.
Newsom.
Aye.
Turner.
Aye.
Donnerworth.
Aye.
Motion pass.
Item A, an ordinance approving the 2025 City of Waukegan zoning map. Item B, we're skipping. Item C, D, and E, we're skipping. Item F, a resolution approving the purchase of 2 trailers from MTM Trailer Manufacturers, LLC, for a not-to-exceed amount of $94,398 per Section 2-458, a good faith waiver. Item G, a resolution approving the LPA appropriation agreement with the state of Illinois to appropriate $1,340,000 for Phase 3 engineering services for the Glenwood Bridge, or Glenwood Avenue Bridge. Did I say Greenwood or, Greenwood Avenue Bridge? Item I, a resolution approving the reclassification of partial funding for the FY 2024 LSLR, which is our lead service line removal road program, in an amount of $2,412,176.36. Item J, a resolution authorizing the procurement of squad car equipment and installation services for 10 police vehicles from Harvey Communications, Inc. Item K, a resolution approving a settlement and release of all claims for Police Department Employee Workers' Compensation Claim 240716W018 for an amount not to exceed $11,253.07. Item L, a resolution approving a settlement and release of all claims in Bianca Rios for the City of Waukegan for an amount not to exceed $15,500. Item M, a resolution approving a settlement and release of all claims in Jessica Acosta for a not to exceed amount of $42,500. And that's all under the consent agenda.
I'm sorry, was F included in that? Or was F pulled out? I'd like to pull F out for a vote.
We've already read it under consent and it
Yeah,
was
that's all right.
approved.
Okay, then I'll just vote no on all of them, because
Okay.
I can't vote on a no
N
wave
and O are
bidder.
not on the agenda.
No bid.
So roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Florian.
Aye.
Hayes.
Aye.
Bolton.
Aye.
Guzman.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
Felix.
Aye.
Newsom.
Aye.
Turner.
I cannot vote on a no bid waiver again. So I'm and because we can't pull it out now, it's too late according to procedure. I have to vote no on all.
Explain it to you
No,
since you
ma'am.
weren't in the
No,
committee.
ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
They got a
It
bid.
says
and they-
good faith waiver. I'm not reading the packet. I'm telling you what's on this agenda in front of me. I'm reading it. It says good faith waiver. And again,
Roll call, just do your vote.
I just did my vote. They're the ones arguing.
Okay, so you voted no on all of them.
I'm
Okay.
voting no.
Alderman Donnerworth.
Aye.
Motion passed, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
So
First.
moved.
Second.
Alderman Hayes.
I'm sorry, Mayor, your mic's off.
It's on. Ordinance amending certain sections of the City of Waukegan Unified Development Ordinance, known as the UDO zoning calendar 2769. Questions to the motion?
Or actually, it would be B and C would basically be the same thing. So I pulled them out because earlier this evening, Alderman Felix made a comment, and I think it was Director.
Can you speak up?
Yes. The reason I pulled this out earlier, there was a comment by Alderman Felix saying if there was any changes to the UDO, and I think it was Director Noel. I almost called you Nicole. I apologize. Almost. I don't know why I keep wanting to do that.
These
but
were answered in the committee meeting, which you weren't here for, so she can answer those now for you.
I was watching on the committee while I was driving down here. Okay, so you said there was no changes, but technically there are. So, I mean, cases have been won and lost on little technicalities. And since there is a change, well, I don't understand, what is Alderman Felix's concern? If there is a change, there is a change, no matter what. I don't care if there's a change in the comma, that means the whole contract has to be changed. The comma is the most important part. So, I mean, what did you want to do with that, if there was a change?
Honestly, there's things that I want to bring up regarding the UDO. For me, I'm okay, because the thing, for example, Alderman Turner said he wanted to make some changes for the landscaping ordinance. It is a process, so it has to go through a planning and zoning committee or meeting.
Commission, yes.
So there's changes that I want to make, but separate from this, so I'm okay with it.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Guzman, I don't know verbatim what I said earlier this evening, but the gist of it is that these aren't changes to the actual regulations, what the rule is. The changes that we're making here are where we had a typo, a punctuation error, we had some page numbering issues. We changed junior high to middle school, that type of thing. But we didn't say the rule used to be 10 feet and now it's 17 feet.
I get it, but once there's a change, there's a change. And, I mean, on any contract, once there's one change, you could start breaking down the whole contract line by line, and basically becomes mute. I mean, if you look at in the eyes of the law, I mean, you can actually hire lawyers to come after this and say, well, this happened, so that means the whole thing has to change. So that means there's an opening here.
This is not a contract, and in fact,
No, I get
what we agreed to was doing those changes in July, 1 year after we did them. So they will be coming up at a later time. What we agreed to was in January of doing, what do they call them, blanking out,
Scrivener's errors, yes.
That's what these are.
No, I get it. So my only concern was because Alderman Felix, so I'll move these forward now. Thank you.
Okay, let's go on and do roll call. Roll call, please.
Alderman Florian.
Aye.
Hayes.
Aye.
Bolton.
Aye.
Guzman.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
Felix.
Aye.
Newsome.
Aye.
Turner.
Aye.
Donnerworth.
Aye.
Motion passed, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item C, can I have a first and second to the resolution?
I thought they were both together. Since they're,
Well, they're separate on here, so we have
Okay.
to do them separately.
First.
So Alderman,
I second.
Alderman Bolton. This is a resolution approving an amended City of Waukegan for the Waukegan Unified Development Ordinance. Noel, would you like to explain that one?
Sure. We are reducing 2 of the fees because as we've looked at the new code and what's actually required for publication of notices and things, I did bring my glasses this time. For the site plan review, we're reducing that fee to applicants from $250 to $100, and for minor adjustments from $200 to $100. So those are both reduced fees for customers.
I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Florian.
Aye.
Hayes.
Aye.
Bolton.
Aye.
Guzman.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
Felix.
Aye.
Newsome.
Aye.
Turner.
Aye.
Donnerworth.
Aye.
Motion passed, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item D, can I have a first and second to the motion? I need a first and second.
First.
I second.
Alderman Newsome, Alderman Bolton, second. This is a resolution approving a change order number 2 with Deegan Group for an environmental engineering services at 200 East Seahorse Drive. Thank you, you're up here already. You want to clarify this?
Sure. So as you know, we engaged the Deegan Group to help us do an environmental assessment of the BRP property on the lakefront. And in that assessment, we discovered there was an underground storage tank there that we hadn't anticipated. We had really hoped there wouldn't be any. So you've approved a contract for the removal of the underground storage tank. However, with that removal, we have to manage the removal and then do post-removal sampling of the soil to ensure that there's no contamination left behind from that tank. And then we have to report to the state fire marshal. The state fire marshal tracks all of the underground storage tanks within Illinois. So we have reporting there. We have contract management and closeout with the tank removal company, and we have notification to the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency about that tank removal. So this contract amendment for $11,000 would do all of that oversight and reporting work for the tank removal.
Any questions? Okay, roll call, please.
Alderman Florian.
Aye.
Hayes.
Aye.
Bolton.
Aye.
Guzman.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
Felix.
Aye.
Newsome.
Aye. Aye.
Turner.
Aye.
Donnerworth.
Aye.
Motion passed, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item E, first and second.
First.
Alderman Florian, second.
Second.
Alderman Newsome. This is an ordinance amending Section 22 pertaining to the removal of dead trees on private property. Chris, I'll let you talk about this. This is because, as many of you know, we've had issues with people, their trees going on other neighbors' property and them not removing it, and then it becomes an issue. So, Mr. Garland?
And basically, Mayor, that is correct. And what we're looking to do is to send out a letter to the residents informing them of the dead tree and that it has to be removed, and within a time frame of 30 days. And we were looking to put some language in there to where if there's any discrepancies or anything that they have concerns with, they can contact Public Works, and we will look to work with them in regards to removing the dead tree.
Mayor?
Alderman Turner and then
Yeah,
Alderman Hayes.
Hey, is that only pertaining to dead trees, or is that include branches overhanging the neighbor's property, or?
I'm looking at dead trees and shrubbery. It's funny you said that because we're in a situation right now where it's not only dead tree, there's shrubbery in front of the dead tree that needs to be removed as well.
But I'm also speaking like living branches. You know, some trees grow, and the branches overhang the neighbor's property. Maybe it's overhanging the neighbor's garage or a fence, or, you know, could be problematic, or maybe the neighbor just doesn't want it hanging over there. Is that, you're going to?
Correct.
Well, actually, I can clarify Alderman Turner's question. We already have an ordinance that discusses if branches are overhanging the public right-of-way, then the city can come in and intervene if they're blocking the public right-of-way. That's already in our code. This is specifically about dead, and the actual text of the ordinance says that determine if whether or not a tree is dead and poses a significant risk to other private or public property. So it has we would have to send out a forester or someone with a certification that would say that it is dead and is a threat. And that's when citations would be issued, not just because it's unsightly and because someone doesn't like shrubbery up against them. This would not apply to that.
But it doesn't include like branches that neighbors may not want. That's a civil matter that they kind of have to sort out. We can only intervene when it's actually dead. Alderman Hayes?
So, a couple of concerns, one of which is the point you just raised is I'd be nervous about the city getting involved in neighborly disputes and what would otherwise be a private matter. And then they come to the city and then we send a letter and we threaten to fine them when in reality it should just be the neighbors that work that out. So my concern really there, I don't know that I have a proposed solution, is just I don't want the city overstepping into what I think would be private disputes. We have a permit, if I remember correctly, for the removal of dead trees within the city. Am I getting this right? I know if we want to remove trees generally, you have to pull a permit. If it's a dead tree, you still have to pull a permit?
Correct.
Okay. Is the notice from the city that the tree has to be removed, is that the authorization, or do they still have to apply for a permit?
They're still going to have to apply for a permit so that we can know exactly what they're doing.
Okay. The permit's free, right?
Correct.
Okay,
Permit is
so
free.
they get a letter from the city, it's a threat, it's probably going to catch them off guard, even though they should know the tree is dead, and then they have 30 days to apply for the permit and remove the tree or be subject to fines, as I'm
Correct.
reading this? Okay.
Yes.
If there's, maybe the tree's not dead, maybe it's gone dormant, maybe, I don't know, but is there an appeal process? Is there some way to stay the potential fine if they have questions or they want to appeal the notice?
Chris? I mean, anything that they would have a question to, like they can call the department, and if they actually were told it needed to be done and they don't feel, they could go to adjudication court.
Yeah. Listen, I'm all for people getting rid of dead trees. I'm not trying to hold this up, but I want to make sure that it's not unnecessarily punitive, because $200 to $750 a day is a lot of money, and I'm fine. I can get on board with that. If the tree's dead, you got to remove it. That's part of your responsibility as a landowner. But I just want to make sure it's very clear and everyone knows what their requirements are, and that when we send the letter to them, we explain to them the ordinance, where they can find the ordinance, that they have to apply for a permit, and the fines that they'll be subject to, and if they want to appeal it or take it to adjudication, what their rights are. I just want to make sure it's all in the letter so nobody can come and say that we blindsided them.
And Alderman Hayes, I just want to add, the notice has to state that it is a dead tree and it has to meet one of the following criteria. The tree is a threat to public health or safety.
Yep.
The tree interferes with the provision of public services, or the tree is a hazard to vehicular or pedestrian traffic on any public right-of-way.
Yeah.
So it has to meet one of those criteria. And if it is like, if you've got a 2-acre property and you've got a dead tree in the middle of the property that couldn't bother anybody but, falling on your dog, that would not qualify for, we could not force you to take that out.
Sure, and I get that. I think what might be somewhat confusing is the fact that we say within the body of Section A, risk to other private or public property. So if it says private property there, do we run the risk of getting kind of mixed up in the example you just gave us on a 2-acre piece of property with a tree in the middle of it?
I would say it would have to be other private property, in other words, a neighboring property. If you'd like us to clarify this, if you want to hold this over and we can clarify that, we'd be happy to do that.
No, I don't want to hold it up. I just want to make sure it's raised and everyone's comfortable with the language, and that the notices we're giving to the homeowners are very clear, just so that nobody accuses us of being unnecessarily punitive.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Alderman Felix,
You good?
you're next.
I just want to make sure I heard right. Where the Public Works is able to help them out, right? Or no? Like, to get rid of the tree? No.
We're not going on private property. We will
Okay.
help them out with the time frame.
Okay.
We will communicate back and forth with them within the time frame.
Okay. And the reason why I bring that up is that what if we're giving 30 days to a elderly person that lives in a fixed income, and it takes a lot longer for them to gather up that money. You're saying that these people have to come to adjudication and ask for an extension or some sorts of something like that. Is that the process?
As we do it now in the building department when there's code issues, if you call us and explain what it is, we generally provide those exceptions. It's that most people don't call.
Okay.
They just continue to ignore it, and then you've got a bigger problem. So, we are willing to work with people, but you can't sit and do nothing either. That's not an option.
Can we take into consideration, and part of this is a way to write in the language that, for example, as a checklist, that a letter has been sent to the resident? Because I understand sometimes they don't receive it, or they throw away the pay, or they don't see it as, maybe they think it's a water bill. Want to make sure at no point where they'll say, I didn't receive this, or I didn't know, whatnot, because that does happen a lot. Is that something that we can include?
We can send a certified letter.
Yes.
Which is more expensive for the city, right?
It is.
I would just say a checklist. That's all I'm asking for, is a checklist. Like, hey, if we look at a file of a resident, it says it was sent. That's something that I just would love to be on there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alderman Turner?
Yes. So I get the discussion, but where I don't understand is why we write an ordinance mandating removal of a dead tree because it's problematic or potentially hazardous, but not a live tree, a live branch that's problematic or potentially hazardous to private property, right? So let's say, for example, there's a branch overhanging someone's property, and it's laying on their roof, or maybe it's dripping sap on their vehicles, or it's gonna fall, or it's dropping, whatever. It's
Call you and you come out and do it yourself. That's what you do as your
so
alderman.
couldn't you do the same for
You-
couldn't you do the same for mean, why the distinction between a
Because-
dead tree versus a live tree?
Because dead trees are more likely to fall than a live tree is.
I
So
think-
not the potential risk.
And the key thing is that if a branch is over on your side of the property, you can cut it.
Yeah.
The issue here would be a dead tree that maybe is 2 feet off of your property line, but looks like it's going to fall any day. You can't reach across the property line and do anything about it. That's, I think, is that accurate to what the concern
Correct.
is of Public Works?
Correct.
For example, I have a corner in my ward that is sort of public, it's a little bit of both. We own some of the property, they own some. There's a big, huge dead tree, and it's right on the corner. And it's been sitting there. I have to admit, some of it's just unsightly, but it also blocks the view of people coming out of that and going onto Delaney Road, one of our busiest roads. So we need to be able to have some teeth to be able to clean that up and get the sight line cleared.
And
So-
sometimes there's issues with insurance that if it damages your property, but you're waiting on their homeowner's insurance, and depending on their coverage, whether or not it covers it.
One final question. This is real quick. You don't have your microphone out. Thank you. So what if, I mean, to remove a tree or trim a tree can be expensive, $1,800 or more. What if the person, someone mentioned an elderly person on fixed income, regardless, someone, they just can't afford it. I can't afford $2,600 to remove a tree. What are you gonna do?
Well, that becomes their risk then, that if something happens, they are financially responsible for it.
But they're gonna catch a fine. They're gonna catch a fine under this ordinance, right?
What I asked this question at Public Works, and what Shannon suggested is that we could order the tree cut down and lien the property for the amount it costs. So then, once the property is sold, then the money comes back to the city.
And that's where the litigation comes in, that what corporate counsel was talking about earlier.
I happen,
That would be a last case scenario. We would give them time, we would give them 60 days, 90 days, if they can do it, but if they
that's pretty
can't.
popular in all your HOAs.
Yes.
Alderman Hayes, and I know that you get 30 days for us, and if you get a second warning letter and then they lien your house, there's no joking around about it. And, you know, we have to remember that at some point, it's your neighbors that are going to, you know, they have no way of doing anything if you decide, I can never afford this. So there has to be something that steps in that says this has to be removed. I'm going to go ahead and call the vote. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Florian.
Aye.
Hayes.
Aye.
Bolton.
Aye.
Guzman.
No.
Martinez.
Aye.
Felix.
I would say aye.
Newsom.
Aye.
Turner.
Aye.
Donnerworth.
Aye.
Motion passed, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item H, can I have a first and a second to it?
So move.
Okay, Alderman Newsom, a second.
Second.
Alderman Florian, this is a resolution approving an LPA engineering agreement for Phase 3 engineering services with the Baxter and Woodman for the Greenwood Avenue Bridge per Section 2-458, for a not-to-exceed amount of $590,257.
Is that last vote for?
Okay. Any questions to this motion? I'm sorry.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, so this is for the train bridge, correct?
For the what?
The train bridge?
Yeah, the bridge over the trains on Greenwood.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, roll call, please.
Alderman Florian.
Aye.
Hayes.
Aye.
Bolton.
Aye.
Guzman.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
Felix.
Aye.
Newsom.
Aye.
Turner.
Aye.
Donnerworth.
Aye.
Motion passed, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. N and O we're not doing. There being no ordinances, Alderperson.
Alderman Florian.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Quickly, I just want to wish everyone a Happy New Year. I hope 2025 is a healthy, happy year for us. I want to congratulate the Park District on an excellent polar plunge. It was well-attended, fun, cold, but very successful. Our PR department did a great job keeping things rolling and keeping the crowd entertained. And I saw lots of people from Waukegan today and tons of compliments on the plowing in the city. So thank you to our Public Works Department. That's all I have. Thank you.
Alderman Hayes.
Pass.
Alderman Bolton.
Yes, happy greetings 2025. Want to thank all the clergy for rendering and volunteering their service to step in and do our invocation for our city council meetings, and reiterating the fact, don't forget Martin Luther King Breakfast Dreamers Award at the Holiday Inn that's coming up on the 20th. And want to make those that live in the First Ward aware that the lead piping project will soon start on the streets of Lenox, and soon then Martin Luther King. That's all I have. Thank you.
Alderman Guzman.
Excuse me. Good evening, all. I wanted to say, make sure everybody had a great Christmas and a Happy New Year. We're here, 2025, the start of it. And as you heard, it's going to be a great start. Our road program was just announced. I mean, you got to remember years before this, okay? This didn't happen. You had to come to council and you got this huge bond, and we were stuck with that bond for whatever, 10, 15, 20, whatever the bond was for. That's no longer happening, guys. And then not just only a selected few would get streets. Every single person is getting streets. So that means every single resident and every single ward should be very excited and very happy that their alderman has pushed for your road. And the administration has moved stuff around and found the money to do those roads. Okay? I want to just iterate this because this was such a big deal years ago, because I remember coming to the city council and people would argue and complain about why are we bonding to pay for streets if by the time we pay off the bond, it's going to be time to redo the street. And that's no longer happening. And then every time they did streets, it was only a few at a time. No, here is every single one. So I'm very happy and proud of that. So I wanted to emphasize that. The polar plunge. Unfortunately, I'm a first responder, so I got called in. I was planning to attend. I think the last time I was able to attend was like 4 or 5 years ago. It was a pretty cool event. But I was watching everybody's Facebook videos and read the comments in the paper and stuff like that. It was awesome. So I'll try again 2026. So hopefully that's my year. But Happy New Year. We're getting ready. So basically, we're almost through half our term now. Got elected. A bunch of us got elected 2 years ago. So I'm looking into maybe doing something big for the summertime to show our halfway mark, what achievements we have done and where we would move forward with this. But I mean, there are some huge achievements. Just like I said, I keep saying our roads, but yes, our roads. And I'm a business person, so what's the first thing I always say to everybody? Money in the bank, money in the bank, money in the bank. So for those rainy days. And the city does have that money in the bank for those rainy days. So police, fire, whatever's going on, we can actually purchase this, like this trailer that just came up onto today's agenda. Every time we come up here and we don't have to bond something or borrow something or anything, it gets me very excited. So I'm very happy. So that's why I keep on reiterating everything. Another thing I want to bring up, the school buses. When they're going around, I can't remember what city it was that they had this, that a kid got hit because somebody went around again around the stop sign. When that stop sign comes out, yeah, it was something huge. When that stop sign comes out, I mean, please be careful and wait until that stop sign comes back in before you go around. Because kids could be walking in front, in the rear, and they're just running around and they're not paying attention. As parents, you try to tell them, pay attention, but it just happens. So please be careful with those kids, and especially now that the days are are getting darker sooner. So please keep an extra precaution on that. Thank you.
Alderman Felix. Oh, I'm sorry. Alderman Martinez.
All right, thank you, Madam City Clerk and City Council. First, I would like to thank Pastor Linda Irvin for thoughts on Invocation. It was very thoughtful at a time when it really needed as we go about our daily lives. And also, I also want to mention the fact that I also attended the Polar Bear Plunge. It's great to see everyone out there. It was a huge attendance. It was absolutely fun to watch Alderman Felix jump in that water. So, you know, I commend you for that. It took a lot of guts to do that. So congratulations with that. I don't have much to say, but I am very excited about the new road fixtures or the repaving that they're going to do. I look forward to sharing that information with my constituents. Also, I'd like to give special thanks to Public Works and also code enforcement for always answering my calls and always following through with any request. I think I'm at 99.9 of any request or any help that I need. So again, we have an amazing Public Works Department and code enforcement, and I just want to commend them for that. And then finally, just want to talk briefly about the increase of pedestrians getting hit by cars. I had a friend who was one of the victims that unfortunately got hit by a car. And again, motorists, please, I can't emphasize enough, please slow down. You know, always give the pedestrian the right of way. You know, keep off those phones, stop texting. Do what you have to do, but please, it's just sad that it seems that every day there's somebody else getting hit by a car, and I'm seeing more people, more fatalities happening more often than I've seen in the past. So, again, heed all the warnings and you know, look out for those pedestrians. With that being said, if you need to get a hold of me, I can be reached at 847-390-2689. I just asked my neighbors, my constituents, to be safe, be mindful, and more than often, let's be good neighbors. Thank you.
Alderman Felix.
Thank you. I did attend the Polar Plunge. It was amazing. It was a good way to start the year. There was a lot of people there. I'm happy to see that it was all ages, young and older, and men and women. So, and some of them had costumes. So maybe that's a good idea for next year. Maybe have some kind of theme. Thanks everyone that showed up and also participated. Happy New Year as well to everyone. A few things that I want to mention is the sculpture downtown. I did send something to Chief of Staff Bridges to motion to bring to open it up to see what the proposed sculptures or work was submitted to open that back up. I did get support from Alderman Guzman and Turner. And so I just want to make sure that I bring that up here because I did motion it in time and it didn't show up at the council meeting. So, but just, wanted to bring that up publicly. I am working towards that. So if you bring something forward to me, I will work on it. Another thing is that the short-term rental, there were some disagreements. For the most part, we agreed on everything. So I appreciate the council members for working with our community regarding those concerns. Thank you to our community for showing up for the last few months for this concern. Public Works Department has been, as Alderman Martinez stated, they have been amazing this year. I mean, I got so much work done, and they were always very responsive. But it does take work. It does take us on our end taking pictures and sending it to them. But a huge thank you to the Public Works team because they've done a lot. So it's our job to bring those things up, and they'll take care of it. Part of the new year, I mean, I think we're heading towards a good new year. I mean, one of my focuses will be development, especially in my area. There's a lot of things going on. In the Fifth Ward, we have a Five Below coming in. That's amazing. You know, that's good to see new things coming our way. But I also want to see things coming in the Fourth Ward. We have a lot of small mom and pop shops, and part of the things one of my tasks is to protect those small businesses by making sure that they have representation from my end. Anything that anyone needs, please reach out to me, and they have reached out to me. So please continue to reach out to me. But yes, development will be a huge thing. Our city needs this. It's especially in the downtown. We need to spark it. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Alderman Newsom.
Pass.
Alderman Turner.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Excuse me. All right, so in the 6th Ward and across Waukegan, I just would like to encourage everyone, you know, during this cold weather and the snow, you know, look out for your neighbors. If you can do a little bit extra, a little bit more, maybe you're shoveling your walk or your driveway, maybe you could shovel your neighbors so that they can get from their door to their car or something like that, or out to the curb. Maybe you can take your neighbor's elderly neighbor or disabled, take their garbage can out to the curb. It doesn't take but a little effort to help someone, right? So, and with the cold weather, check on people who you know may be mobility impaired or shut in. Ask if they have sufficient heat. If you can run an errand for them, maybe you can go get some food or help them in some way. It doesn't take a lot to help a neighbor, to be neighborly. And of course, in the 6th Ward, if you need help, 847-445-3788. I'll come running anytime, day or night. Doesn't matter. 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, you call. If I answer, if I wake up, I'll come get you. But I'm also out, as many of you know, I'm often out in the neighborhood 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. So don't hesitate to call me if you need help. You think I can help you, okay? We recently had 2 more pedestrian deaths. I can think of, I think there's been 4 in the last couple of months. Either Chief Navarro or Chief Pazer, do either of you know how many approximately pedestrian deaths we've had in the last year or so? Either of you? Okay, I think it's 4. You know, one thing, and I made a social media post earlier this evening about this. I just want to again encourage all of us to pay attention. Many of us, including me, I often wear dark clothing in the evenings and during the winter months in the dark. A lot of people, for whatever reason, it seems to be a social phenomenon here in Waukegan, people walking in the street. And I think, you know, put my psychiatrist hat, I think it's a subconscious cry for attention. But sometimes it's just not feasible to walk or, you know, convenient to walk on the sidewalk. Regardless, if you're driving your vehicle, please pay attention, slow down. Even if they're in the wrong, let the pedestrians have the right of way, move over, stop if you have to. If you know people who are often walking and wearing dark clothes, please encourage them, pay attention, don't walk in the street. I mean, every year, without fail, we have 2, 3, 4 people killed walking in the street, not just in the wintertime. We also recently had 2 women were shot by 2 teenagers, and I don't have a lot of the details, but I understand it was a multi-agency effort, including Waukegan's finest. Our heroes were actually the team that took the culprits into custody. You know, again, this is like a social phenomenon. This is a plague on our society. It's not just Waukegan. You know, illegal weapons and people just shooting, and I don't know how we make it stop. But I do want to express my appreciation for all involved, including Waukegan, the Sheriff's Department. I think Zion was involved. Is that right, Chief? Was Zion? Yeah. Okay. So anyway, all involved, I want to thank them for their efforts. And I think that's it. Have a good night. Thank you.
Alderman Donnerworth.
Pass.
Okay, before I dismiss, I will make two comments. One was we will be going out for an RPF for sculpture. We will resubmit it with new guidelines of what we're really looking for, and that will go out in the not-too-distant future. Second of all, your mayor has never, ever been arrested. And Ms. Carrasco, you are walking a very fine line of making accusations that you should not be making. And unless you want to hear from my attorneys, I would suggest you rethink where you're going with that. I have only had 2 speeding tickets in my, I won't tell you how old I am, but most of you know I'm old. So, you know, I have lived a very, very rule-orientated lifestyle. So no, you would be hard-pressed to ever find an arrest warrant on me, or debt, or anything else. But I just wanted to make sure that the public knew that these are wild accusations that come out of her rear end at any one time. So let's just leave it like that. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Alderman Turner, a second? Okay, I have to do a roll call tonight because we are missing Alderman Donnerworth.
Aye.
And who's second, ma'am?
Second was Alderman Guzman, I believe, right? Oh, I'm sorry, Alderman Bolton did the second. Okay, roll call, please.
Alderman Florian.
Aye.
Hayes.
Aye.
Bolton. Guzman.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
Felix.
Aye.
Newsome.
Aye.
Turner.
No.
Donnerworth.
Aye.
Have a good evening,
Pass.
everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day. Stay safe and stay warm.